What on earth is happening in the health service in Harlow? People in Lister House has been rated inadequate. Sydenham House, not the GP surgery, has been told requires improvement. Stella Healthcare requires improvement. You know, the people of Harlow are rightly to be very concerned about the state of health provision in the town, aren't they?
They are, and I'm very unhappy about what is going on. I do try and go to surgeries, not quite weekly, but very regularly around Harlow to talk to the staff. I have had meetings both with the Health Minister, Maria Caulfield, and also with Sajid Javid, the Health Secretary, about Harlow healthcare. They are putting more money into GP services. There have been problems because of COVID. There are issues when staff are sick and they don't have enough staff, but too many people in Harlow are not getting the right service that they deserve, because we pay our taxes for this. This is not right that people can't get appointments or get take ages to get through to reception. I talk with the CCG, that's the group, clinical commissioning group that's in charge of all the time. I've had very angry meetings with the chairman of the integrated care group. It's so many different acronyms to deal and bodies, but I'm doing my best to try and get our health services improved, because people should be getting a much better service. There isn't any excuse for these two surgeries that you mentioned in having bad inspections. You know, that should not be happening, and it isn't just a question of funding, because more funding is coming through, but it's also a question of what the CCG has been doing, and there are changes in terms of how it's all run, and all I will do is continue to lobby for better services for the people of Harlow.
Because blending into another subject is that, you know, we lost Osler House in Potter Street, but this week our population has boomed to 93,300. That is an opportunity as the MP for Harlow, but also a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, let's not look at everything darkly. I'm not saying you are. I mean, that's actually very exciting, because people are coming to live in Harlow. You know, when I came here to live way back in early 2000, and at the time, lots of people were leaving. You know, people didn't want to stay here. Now people are coming to Harlow because it's a wonderful place to live. We've just in this fantastic adult community learning centre, state-of-the-art library that many towns in the country would give their right arm for, to have a library like this doing community learning and a cafe. But absolutely, the point that you make is a very serious one. We have to have the right infrastructure. So we'll have to have more money invested in our NHS, but not just the NHS, but schools as well. There are new schools, and we've got Newhall Primary School, for example. That's a new estate. School was built there. Other schools are coming, but the infrastructure has to be there at the same time, and that is something I will continue to raise in Parliament.
So does a population growth like that vindicate just you're looking out to, or rather up Sir Frederick Gibbard College? You know, there's some people say we didn't need another senior school, but does that in fact contradict? We did need
the more schools we have in this town, the better, as far as I'm concerned. We've got Harlow College, we've got Sir Frederick Gibbard College, and it gives people choice. It gives people choice of what the kind of education they want, because each child is different, and I never think that each school should be the same. But I'm personally in favour of much more vocational and technical education all the way through the curriculum, but some people are very academic and they want to go to academic schools that concentrate on academic learning as well. But we should be excited. There are new schools that have opened up, and more will come, but the key point is right. We need constantly modernise and may have more infrastructure, and all the time I get up in Parliament and ask these questions and meet with ministers to make sure that they continue to invest many millions of pounds in Harlow, which they are doing.
Just two more subjects before I know, because it's a Friday and
it's
a busy constituency today. Voting yes, voting no, abstaining. Can you just take me through why you abstained on the Northern Ireland Protocol vote?
Yes, that was very simple, because not because I didn't agree with what the government doing, but because I had to come to Harlow for treatment for my legs. That's why. So that's the reason. I happen to support the thing. I think it's been very hard. In essence, in a nutshell, the problem is that goods coming from Britain into Northern Ireland are being treated as EU goods, and that's creating a lot of bureaucracy. And all the bill, in essence, says is there should be a green lane and a red lane. So goods from Britain to Northern Ireland are treated normally, just as everywhere else. But goods that go into the island itself, that will then come under the EU regulations. That is, in essence, as I see, what that bill is about.
My final subject, just going back to education, you're very concerned as Children's Commissioner about ghost children in that subject. A couple of things on that is, do you know if there is a figure, for example, in Harlow regarding that? And B, you've become allied with certain organisations like Us for Them. Are you comfortable with being supported by and supporting organisations like that?
So I don't know the figures for Harlow. I do go and ask schools. In fact, I've just been to visit Cook's Spinney School, see the breakfast. They're doing an incredible job. They have incredibly high attendance. One of the reasons why they have very high attendance is they offer breakfasts to all the kids, and some of the kids go in early, have the breakfast, and do some learning. And parents who have to go to work early can drop their children off. It also helps those kids who may need that extra support, and that includes attendance. We have got a problem. I'm going to talk about this next week in Parliament. In fact, that 124,000 pupils have not returned to school since they reopened again. It was I who coined the term the ghost children, who started that. That was not something I'm proud of, by the way, because it's an awful thing to describe children, but and I'm going to go on about it at the government on Monday, and in education questions, and in Wednesday when I've got an education debate, because I don't think enough is being done to get these children back into school, and I think the government have got to do a lot more. And in terms of the Us for Them, I mean, they're a parents group that were set up during lockdown. I was one of the few right in the early stages saying I didn't want schools closed for most pupils. They were open for schools of children of key workers and vulnerable, but most vulnerable children didn't go, and most pupils didn't go to school. And there was despite the wonderful efforts of teachers in Harlow and support staff, there were very, very varied learning. And we just talked about the kids not turning to school. The Us for Them are literally a voluntary pressure. I had a meeting in Parliament with the parents and some of the children, and I openly put it on Twitter. I'm not ashamed of meeting them. I think they did a lot to campaign for the kids in school. And funny enough, they just published a book called The Children's Inquiry, which I strongly recommend your Harlow to read. And in that, the two previous children's commissioners have been interviewed by them. And the children's commissioner, the previous children's commissioner, commends the book. They've also had meetings with Jeff Barton, who is head of the head teachers union, and many others. So if it's good enough for those kind of people, the former children's commissioners, Jeff Barton, many others, that I could spend the rest of the day wheeling off to meet them, and then I'm happy to do it. And I think they did a very brave job in lockdown, because there were very few campaigning for schools. Everyone was very angry with me at the beginning, dare I say it, even your Harlow, but I felt from the bottom of my heart that it was wrong to close the schools, and many other countries didn't close the schools, France, Sweden for example, and it's done enormous damage. And so they're a voluntary parents group. You shouldn't believe everything, I know you don't, but people shouldn't believe everything they read in the papers about this group, but they're a group of parents voluntarily who campaigned day and night to get the schools open for all pupils, and I have massive respect for that, as do many other distinguished people, as I say, like the former children's commissioners, two of them, who have been involved with them as well.
And finally, I know you want me to try as much on the positive. We seem to meet a lot of the times opening stuff in Harlow, whether it's Junction 7A or opening libraries, and is that part of your mantra, that Harlow's open for business?
Well, what I've always championed and tried to campaign is building an even better Harlow. And amazing things are happening in our town. We can always look at the bad, and there are things that go wrong. And things like GP surgeries, we've got to sort that out, absolutely. But there are incredible things happening here. We've got the water gardens, we've got the enterprise zone, we will have UK Health Security Agency coming here, we're going to have the new hospital. This has opened up, millions of pounds investment into adult learning. So there were very good things happening across the board, millions of pounds invested in Harlow College. Some schools have received many thousands of pounds for capital expenditure. Not all, we've got to help all schools. So there are good things happening. Harlow is the place to be. That's why people are coming here to live. And so today's a great day. But I'm not just here because it's an opening. You know that my passion is education and skills. And in a place like this, everything, my political belief system is a place like this, a place of community, a place of learning. This place is literally a ladder of opportunity for thousands of Harlow residents, and that's why education and skills is so important. They give people that ladder of opportunity.